I want you to close your eyes for a second, just for a moment. Imagine waking up cold. And I don't mean just a little chilly. I mean soaked to the bone, lying on these rough, slick cobblestones in some filthy alleyway.
Okay, not a great start to the day.
No, it's pitch black, it's raining in sheets, and you try to move your hands, but you can't. They're cuffed behind your back.
Yeah,
And here's the real kicker. You have absolutely no memory of how you got there.
that is a nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
Just total sensory deprivation mixed with physical restraint. It's pure panic.
And it gets worse. You struggle to your feet, your head is just pounding, and you realize two things almost at the same time. One, there's a dead body lying not 10 feet from you.
Oh, wow.
And two, you are the prime suspect. You don't know if you did it. You don't know if you're being framed. You know nothing.
It creates an instant visceral terror, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
the ultimate loss of agency. You're a pawn in a game you don't even know you're playing.
Exactly. And that is the hook, the incredible opening to the book we are diving into today. We are exploring the fog-bound, really gritty world of Jack Higgins's post-war thriller, Comes the Dark Stranger.
Right, and when people hear Jack Higgins, their minds usually go straight to The Eagle Has Landed.
Of course, the big WWII adventure story.
Yeah, the caper. But Comes the Dark Stranger is a completely different animal. It's so much darker, it's tighter, it's steeped in this post-war noir tradition. It's really dealing with the psychological wreckage of the Korean War in a way that feels incredibly raw.
That's a great way to put it. This isn't about heroes on a grand mission.
No, not at all. It's about broken men just trying to survive the peace, which can be harder than surviving the war.
And our protagonist, Martin Shane, is about as broken as they come. I think we have to unpack him before we even really touch the central mystery, because his condition, it's the engine for the entire plot.
It is. He's not just an amnesiac. He's a walking, talking medical time bomb.
So give us the background. What's his deal?
Okay, so Shane is a veteran of the Korean War. For 7 years, he's been in a mental fog. He took shrapnel to the brain during an explosion.
Right.
For years, he was institutionalized, barely aware of his own name. But the story kicks off because of this complete fluke. He falls down some stairs, hits his head, and the impact just happens to shift the shrapnel.
It's like the old method of fixing a fuzzy television by whacking it on the side.
It's a crude analogy, but it's essentially correct, neurologically speaking. The lights come back on. Suddenly, he remembers who he is, he remembers the war, he remembers everything.
But it's not a clean fix, is it?
Not even close. That's the tragedy. The shrapnel didn't stop moving. The doctors give him this brutal diagnosis that serves as the book's ticking clock. He has exactly 1 week before he needs life-saving surgery.
And the odds on that surgery aren't exactly great.
They're abysmal.
Okay.
If he misses the appointment in London in 7 days, the shrapnel moves again and it will kill him. Period. But if he makes the appointment, the surgery itself has maybe a 1 in 100 chance of success. So for all intents and purposes, he is a walking dead man.
So put yourself in his shoes. You have 7 days left to live, probably. Most people might, I don't know, go to a beach, see family, eat a great meal. Martin Shane decides to go to this miserable, fog-choked industrial town called Burnham. Why?
Because for Shane, the war never ended. It was just on pause. When his memory flooded back, it brought all the trauma with it, perfectly preserved like it happened yesterday.
And there's a specific trauma he's focused on.
Yes. He remembers his unit being captured in Korea. He remembers them being held in this bummed-out temple and being tortured by a particularly nasty Chinese interrogator named Colonel Lee. And most importantly, he remembers that someone in their own unit betrayed them.
The enemy within, the ultimate sin for a soldier.
Exactly. He knows one of the survivors of that ordeal is now living in Burnham, and that person is the rat who sold them out. He just can't die peacefully knowing that the traitor got away with it and is living a comfortable life. It's not just revenge. For him, it's a prevention. It's about restoring some kind of moral order to a completely chaotic world.
And all this is taking a physical toll on him, which the book describes so vividly. It's not just a simple headache.
No, Higgins is very specific. He uses this recurring visual, colored lights. Shane sees these starbursts, these explosions of light in his vision.
Like a seizure aura?
Precisely. It's a classic symptom of pressure on the visual cortex. And every time he gets stressed or gets into a fight, which happens a lot in this book, those lights just flare up. It's a constant visual reminder that his brain is failing, that his time is running out.
And he's self-medicating to deal with it?
Oh, massively. He's popping fistfuls of pills and washing them down with alcohol just to stay upright and functional. He's literally running on fumes and willpower.
So he arrives in Burnham. And the setting, you mentioned it earlier, but it's almost a character itself. I've never read a book where the weather felt so actively oppressive.
It's the pathetic fallacy cranked up to 11. The environment perfectly mirrors his internal state. Burnham is this bleak, industrial town, constantly shrouded in fog and freezing rain.
You can't see anything.
Exactly. It reflects his own mind. Murky, cold, confusing. He's trying to find the truth in a place where you can barely see across the street. It's brilliant.
So Shane has a list. He knows the survivors from his unit are all in this one town. And he starts tracking them down, one by one. It's like a rogues gallery of different trauma responses. I think we should go through these suspects because Higgins gives each of them such a distinct, memorable flavor.
It's a fantastic study in how different men handle the exact same horror.
Let's start with Charles Graham. For me, this was the most striking visual in the entire book. Shane goes to this huge family estate, but Graham isn't in a library or a study, he's in a conservatory.
And the sensory details there are so crucial. It's this glass house filled with exotic orchids. Higgins describes it as incredibly hot, humid, and stifling.
Right.
The air smells of damp earth and heavy perfume. It's a complete contrast to the cold, wet English reality just outside the glass. Graham has built himself this artificial tropical world to hide in.
And he is hiding for a reason. When Shane finally sees him, it's grotesque.
Horrifying. Graham was supposedly caught in the same temple bombing that injured Shane. He survived, but he was decimated. The book describes his face as just a mask of scar tissue. His mouth is a thin slit. He can't speak above a whisper because his vocal cords were reconstructed.
It effectively removes his humanity, visually speaking. He almost looks like a monster from a horror film.
He does. But his behavior is the complete opposite. It's so disarming. He just sits there in his private jungle, whispering to Shane. He plays the role of the wise, suffering victim. He basically says, look at me. Look what the war did. Is revenge really worth it? Forget the past. Go to London. Get your surgery. He uses his own disfigurement as an argument for pacifism.
It's hard to interrogate a guy who looks like he's already paid the ultimate price. You just feel pity for him.
Which is exactly the defense mechanism he's relying on. It makes him almost untouchable.
Okay, so from the recluse, we move to suspect number 2, Adam Crowther. He's taken a completely different route.
A very different route. He's an academic, a university lecturer, an archaeologist. He's tried to intellectualize his life, to categorize it, keep it tidy.
Right, put the past in a museum.
Perfectly put. Crowther represents the repress and deny strategy. He has a wife, a career, a reputation to protect. He wants the war to be ancient history, which is fitting for an archaeologist. When Shane shows up at his door, Crowther is immediately hostile.
But not in a violent way.
No, in a terrified way. He's terrified that Shane is going to drag all that horror and messiness from the past back into his neat, orderly present. He even lies about his whereabouts at first, just trying to avoid the conversation.
But Shane pushes him. He won't let it go. And this leads to another one of those really visceral details of war injuries. Crowther finally stops lying and offers proof that he was on the death march.
Yes. He takes off his shoe, and he reveals he's missing his toes. He says it was frostbite from the forced march to the prison camps in China.
And it's such a powerful moment.
It is, because it's an undeniable receipt of suffering. It just shuts Shane up for a moment. How do you accuse a man of being a traitor when he literally walked his feet off for his country? Just muddies the waters completely.
So much ambiguity. Which then brings us to Joe Wilby. If Crowther is repressing his trauma, Wilby is just drowning it.
Wilby is the absolute tragedy of the group. He's a hopeless alcoholic living in total squalor. He's completely broken. He does odd jobs for our 4th suspect, Reggie Steele. Wilby is the guy who never really came home, even though his body did.
And when Shane finds him, what's his reaction?
Pure terror. He's petrified of Shane. He's terrified of the past being dug up. He's just a wreck.
And his story ends very abruptly. Shane leaves, plans to come back and question him again, but when he does, he finds him dead.
Head in a gas oven.
A staged suicide.
Well, the police write it off immediately. Another sad veteran who couldn't cope. It's a very convenient narrative for everyone. But for Shane, it's a huge red flag. Dead man can't answer questions. It might look like a suicide, but it smells like a cleanup operation.
Which points the finger directly at the man Wilby worked for, Reggie Steele. Now, this guy, he feels like he wandered in from a completely different movie. He's the classic gangster.
He is the pure noir archetype. He runs a club called the Garland Club. He's smooth, he's arrogant, he wears sharp suits, and he's always surrounded by thugs. While the other survivors are hiding from the war or drinking it away, Steele is thriving. He's profiting from the post-war chaos.
He seems to be the only one who didn't let the war break him.
Or rather, he just used it to sharpen his edges. He learned how to be ruthless and applied it to civilian life.
And he's into blackmail. This is where we need to bring in Laura Faulkner. She is so central to this story, even though she's not a suspect.
Laura is the emotional core, I think. She's the sister of Simon Faulkner. And to understand Laura, you have to understand Simon.
Simon Faulkner, Shane's best friend, the hero of the unit.
The golden boy. In Shane's memory, Simon was perfect. They were inseparable. Shane even has a tattoo on his arm, a snake with the legend Simon and Martin friends for life.
And Simon supposedly died in Korea.
Executed by Colonel I. That's the story. So Shane is conducting this entire investigation as much for Simon's memory as for his own need for justice.
So Laura is Simon's grieving sister. She's living in the family home, taking care of their dying father. And Reggie Steele is squeezing her. He claims he has indiscreet letters she wrote to him during a supposed affair.
Right, which puts her in this impossible position. She's trying to protect her dying father from any scandal in his final days. So she's terrified of Steele, but she's also terrified of Shane digging around and uncovering things. She becomes this tragic figure caught between the criminal underworld and Shane's relentless crusade.
So the board is set. We have the recluse, the academic, the drunk, and the gangster. Shane is just poking this hornet's nest, and the hornets start stinging back.
They do. But what I find so brilliant here is that the retaliation isn't just physical violence at first. It's psychological.
This is where comes the dark stranger shifts gears, isn't it?
It absolutely shifts into horror territory. The antagonist, whoever it is, knows Shane has a brain injury. He knows Shane is prone to confusion, blackouts, those colored lights. So instead of just putting a bullet in his head, the killer decides to drive him insane first.
The gaslighting is so intense, it starts with a sound. Shane starts hearing footsteps in the fog. But not just any footsteps, a very specific rhythm.
Clomp drag. Clomp drag.
Exactly. The signature sound of Colonel Lai, the Chinese interrogator from the prison camp.
Who had a club foot.
But Colonel Lai is dead. Shane knows he's dead. He saw him die.
Logic says he's dead, but trauma isn't logical. And he hears that sound everywhere, in the foggy alleyways. And then he hears it pacing on the floorboards in the hotel room directly above his head.
That scene gave me chills. He hears the dragging footstep upstairs. He grabs the hotel porter. They rush up to the locked attic. They throw open the door, and it's completely empty.
It's just perfectly designed to make Shane doubt his own senses. If he believes he's hallucinating, if he thinks the colored lights finally mean he's snapped, he might just give up. He might abandon the investigation and check himself into an asylum.
It weaponizes his own medical history against him.
Precisely. And then his gun, his Luger pistol. It vanishes from his locked hotel room. No broken lock, no forced entry, no open window. It's just gone.
Which isolates him completely.
Totally. It implies one of two things. Either he's finally lost his mind and misplaced it himself, or someone he trusts, someone who could get a key, is betraying him. It amps up the paranoia to a fever pitch.
But the killer doesn't stop at these mind games. The violence escalates, and an innocent person gets caught in the crossfire. We need to talk about Jenny Green.
Ah, Jenny. This is the turning point of the novel's morality, I think. Jenny is a young dancer at Steele's club. She's kind, she's innocent, and she befriends Shane when he's at his absolute lowest. She represents this little flicker of normalcy and hope in his life.
And that flicker gets snuffed out so brutally. Shane gets into a fight with Steele's thugs, they beat him up, they drug him, and he wakes up to an absolute nightmare.
He wakes up to find he's been framed for murder. Jenny has been killed, and the method is significant.
Very.
She was killed with a gurkha kukri, that big curved knife. The entire scene is staged to look like a work of a complete maniac.
Specifically to look like the work of him. They want the police to find her and think the war-damaged veteran with the brain injury finally lost control and butchered this poor girl.
It's a frame-up that relies on the public prejudice against his condition. Oh, the shell-shocked soldier finally snapped. It's cruel, it's efficient, and it nearly works.
But it backfires, doesn't it? Because instead of breaking Shane, it just clarifies everything for him. He realizes he can't play detective anymore. He has to start playing soldier again.
Yes. He goes after Reggie Steele, full force.
And this confrontation is key. Shane tracks Steele to a remote hideout cottage. And we see Shane cross a moral line here. He doesn't read Steele his rights.
No, he tortures him.
He uses a hot poker from the fireplace. He effectively becomes Colonel Lai for a moment.
He does. It's a really chilling scene that shows how the line between the hero and the monster is blurring inside him. But the torture works. Steele breaks, and he admits he didn't kill Jenny. He has an alibi. But then he drops the bombshell about the blackmail.
This was the moment I actually gasped when I was reading. Steele admits the envelope he's been holding over Laura Faulkner's head. It doesn't contain love letters.
No.
He says it contains the truth about Simon Faulkner.
The dead hero brother.
Yeah.
The man this is all supposedly for.
And at the same time this is happening, Shane has been doing some more digging at the hotel. He goes back and basically bullies the receptionist, and she finally admits she was bribed.
Right.
She gave a spare key to Shane's room to a man who bought her some expensive clothes, and her description of the man who got the key matches.
Charles Graham.
The recluse. The man with the ruined face who supposedly never leaves his hot, humid orchid house.
So now all the pieces just fall into place with a crash. Wilby is dead. Crowther has a solid alibi. He was giving a lecture at the university. Steele was being tortured by Shane when Jenny's murder happened.
Yeah.
That leaves only one person.
The only person who could have killed Jenny Green and been the ghost haunting him. It has to be Charles Graham.
It's the only logical conclusion.
So Shane grabs a battered and bleeding Reggie Steele, drags him into a car, and they drive to Graham's mansion for the final incredible showdown. They storm up to that hot, stifling conservatory.
The atmosphere in this scene is just palpable. You've got the humidity, the smell of fertilizer and orchids, the rain hammering on the glass roof. It's so claustrophobic. Shane confronts Graham. He lays it all out. He accuses him of being the mastermind.
And Graham is just cool as a cucumber. He's sitting there sipping a drink, basically looking at Shane with pity and saying, "You're delusional. I'm a cripple. I can't go walking around town with a fake clubfoot trying to haunt you."
But Shane notices something small, something that doesn't fit. Because of the heat in the conservatory, Graham is wearing a very thin shirt.
Yeah.
And Shane spots a discrepancy. He lunges at Graham.
A violent struggle erupts.
Yes, and Shane manages to rip the sleeve of Graham's shirt.
And there it is. The reveal that just flips the entire book on its head. What does he see on Graham's arm?
A tattoo. A snake with the legend Simon and Martin friends for life.
Charles Graham has Shane's matching tattoo.
Which can only mean one thing. The man sitting in that chair, the man with the ruined face, isn't Charles Graham.
It's Simon Faulkner.
His best friend. The hero. The man Shane has been mourning and trying to avenge for 7 years. He's not dead. He's the villain.
It is one of the best twists I've ever read. It recontextualizes every single page that came before it. The dark stranger of the title isn't some unknown enemy. It's the person Shane trusted most in the entire world.
It's devastating.
So we have to unpack the logistics of this because it sounds almost like science fiction, but Higgins grounds it in the messy medical reality of the time. How does Simon Faulkner become Charles Graham?
Oh, Simon explains it all. And his calmness while he does it is just terrifying. He confesses everything. Back in Korea, he was the traitor. He was the one who cracked under Colonel Lai's torture. He betrayed the entire unit to save his own skin.
So the entire legend of Simon the Hero was a lie from the very start.
A complete fabrication. Then, the temple they were in was bombed by their own side. The real Charles Graham was standing right next to Simon. Graham was blown to pieces, literally unidentifiable. Simon was horribly wounded, blinded, and his face was destroyed by shrapnel and fire.
He saw his chance.
He seized the opportunity in the chaos. He found Graham's tunic in the wreckage, and he put it on. When the medics found him, he couldn't speak, he couldn't see. They just checked the dog tags in the uniform and naturally assumed he was Charles Graham.
And because his face was gone, the plastic surgery became the perfect, permanent disguise.
Exactly. He didn't just get his face fixed. He had an entirely new face constructed. He used the medical reconstruction to permanently steal a dead man's identity.
But why? Why go through all that? Why not just come back as Simon Faulkner and say, "Hey, I survived"?
Because Simon Faulkner was a criminal before he ever put on a uniform. This is the other layer of it. He reveals that before the war, he had embezzled a massive fortune from his own father's firm. If he returned as Simon, he was going straight to prison for a very long time. But if he returned as the wealthy heir Charles Graham, he gets to inherit Graham's huge family fortune and completely escape his own crimes. It was the perfect out.
That is diabolical. It's survival of the fittest taken to a truly sociopathic extreme, and this explains Laura's behavior completely.
It does. Laura never wrote any indiscreet love letters to Reggie Steele. She had discovered the truth about her brother. Maybe she recognized his handwriting in a letter he sent or some small mannerism. She knew the man pretending to be Charles Graham was her brother, Simon.
But she didn't turn him in. She protected him.
She couldn't expose him. Their father was dying. If he found out that his beloved, heroic son Simon was actually a traitor, a thief, and a fraud living under a dead man's name, the shock would have killed him. So Laura was blackmailed into silence, not by Steele, but by the situation itself. She was protecting her father from the devastating truth.
So how did Steele figure it out?
Steele was just a shrewd operator. He must have put the pieces together. And that was the real blackmail. He wasn't blackmailing Laura over an affair. He was saying, pay me to keep quiet or I'll tell the world your brother is a monster.
It just makes Simon into such a complex, horrifying villain. He killed Joe Wilby to keep him quiet about the past. He murdered poor Jenny Green just as a pawn to frame Shane. But the cruelest part has to be the psychological torture.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the clubfoot sound. Simon knew exactly what Shane's nightmares consisted of. He went out into the cold, foggy nights, dragging a fake clubfoot around purely to torment the man he called his best friend. He used their shared trauma as a weapon to break Shane's mind.
That is such an intimate kind of cruelty. A stranger wants to kill you. A friend knows exactly how to drive you insane.
It creates this horrifying contrast. Shane is literally risking his last 7 days of life to avenge Simon's memory, while Simon is actively trying to destroy Shane to protect his stolen life.
So now, in the conservatory, the truth is out. Simon drops the act. He admits to everything. He's standing there with a gun. And he has a plan. He's going to kill Steele and Shane and claim self-defense.
And it's a solid plan. The crazy veteran attacked me in my home. I had to shoot him. He's the respected, crippled Charles Graham. Shane is the unstable drifter. The police would absolutely believe him.
But he makes a mistake. He gloats. He lets Shane talk. And then he pulls the trigger on Shane.
And we get that beautiful, terrifying sound effect. Click.
The empty gun?
It's such a brilliant subversion of the Chekhov's gun trope. Usually if you see a gun in Act 1, it has to go off in Act 3. Here, the entire climax hinges on the fact that it doesn't go off.
And Shane reveals that he had the gun earlier. Even in his drug-addled, pain-filled haze, when he found it after it was stolen and returned, he had the presence of mind to remove the clip.
It shows that deep down, Shane's soldier instincts were coming back online. He anticipated betrayal, even if he didn't know the face of it yet. He was preparing for the worst.
The look on Simon's face must have been incredible. Shane rushes him. They struggle out onto the balcony, overlooking the grounds. It's this desperate, brutal fight.
And in the end, gravity intervenes. Simon slips on the wet stone. He loses his balance, and he falls from the balcony to his death.
There's a real poetic justice to that, isn't there? He rose from the dead in Korea to become Charles Graham, and now he falls to his actual death. The lie literally couldn't support his weight anymore.
It's a definitive end. The dark stranger is finally gone.
So we move to the resolution. Shane survives the week. He makes it to London. He gets the surgery.
And the operation is a 1 in 100 success. The shrapnel is removed. He's physically whole again. Inspector Lomax from the local police, who's been hovering around the whole story, clears him of the murder charges. Steele is sent to prison for his various crimes. All the loose ends are tied up.
But I would not call this a happy ending.
No, not at all. It's a classic noir ending. It's bittersweet at best. Shane is alive, yes. But he has to live with the knowledge that his entire motivation for the past week, avenging his heroic friend, was a complete and utter lie. The man he loved like a brother was actually a monster who tried to destroy him in the most cruel way imaginable.
And he still has that tattoo on his arm.
That's the lingering image for me. Simon and Martin, friends for life. Simon tried to burn off his past. He tried to change his face. He tried to become a new man. But that tattoo on his arm was the one thing he couldn't erase without leaving a massive scar that would give him away.
The ink outlasted the man.
It did. It symbolizes that you can't escape your history. You can paint over it, you can reconstruct it, but the truth is etched into you somewhere.
And poor Laura, she's just left alone in that big house. Her father is dead, her brother is dead. She's just surrounded by the wreckage of it all.
She's the ultimate collateral damage of Simon's ambition and his lies. It's a really stark reminder that a conspiracy of silence almost always ends up hurting the innocent the most.
Taking a step back, what do you think this book says about the era it was written in? The memories of the Korean War were still very fresh.
I think it taps into a very specific anxiety of the 1950s and 60s, the fear of the enemy within, not just politically, but psychologically. There was this growing realization that the war didn't end when the treaties were signed. The soldiers brought the war home with them inside their heads.
Simon Faulkner represents the worst of that.
He represents the moral corruption that survival at any cost can breed. He is the soldier who lost his soul in order to stay alive and then kept on killing to protect that lie.
And Shane represents the struggle to reclaim humanity, to clear the fog, literally and metaphorically.
Exactly. Shane wants truth, even if it kills him. Simon wants survival, even if he has to kill everyone else. Those two opposing philosophies collide in that conservatory. And the truth wins, but it leaves this massive crater in Shane's life.
It really makes you question how well you can ever know the people around you. We all have Simons in our lives, maybe not murderous imposters, but, people who present a face to the world that isn't entirely real.
We do. And under extreme pressure, like war or intense trauma, those masks slip. Sometimes what's underneath is a hero, like Crowther with his missing toes. It's ugly, but it's honest. And sometimes it's a Simon outwardly perfect but hollow inside.
Well, that is a heavy note to end on, but a very necessary one. Comes the Dark Stranger is a thriller, absolutely, but it's also a warning label about the fragility of trust and identity.
And a pretty good reminder to always check if the gun is loaded before a confrontation.
Solid advice for any occasion.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for breaking this all down with me today. It's been a wild ride through the fog.
My pleasure. It's a book that deserves to be much better known than it is.
I completely agree. And to you listening, thanks for diving deep with us. Keep your eyes open, check your friends for any matching tattoos, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.